Yeah, that's what we were wrestling with when you were trying to start a business with me. I'm like, well, what idea is better than just buying Bitcoin?
Yeah.
And ultimately what we landed on was this podcast, which, by the way, is not better than just buying Bitcoin.
No.
But we can at least be of service to others.
No, true.
In this versus like creating another exchange or another wallet or another seeds phrase storage. We can at least orange pill pre-coiners one at a time and help others unlock this parallel monetary system where their time and energy is actually stored, secured, rewarded. You know, your efforts actually go somewhere. Welcome to Sat Chat's Rehash, the Bitcoin podcast, where we chatting about sats. We're going to be going over number 53, Bellamy, number 54, Adrian, and number 53, Andrea. Today, I'll be your host, Stuart, Bitcoin Maximus, who wears prescription sunglasses to protect you and your loved ones from my Bitcoin laser eye.
Biticus Maximus.
Bitcoinicus Maximus. That's gonna be my Ides of March title. Next time we flip around, you know, Julius Caesar Day.
Biticus, young Biticus.
Lebiticus Maximus.
That's almost got like a little French twang to it too. Anyway, I'm Chris, co-host, founder, CEO of Ithaca Hummus. Do I need to keep saying that?
It's up to you, man. It's your intro. I mean, I'm just Bitcoin Maxi, but I do have my who wears prescription. I have my little shtick. And I do think a lot of people like that you're not just a jabroni like me.
Some random jackass.
I'm a jabroni, but you're a successful person. And if it were two jabronis, they'd just be like, these guys are idiots.
Well, give yourself some credit because you're successful in a lot of ways that I'm not successful.
Yeah, but I'm like a cloak on your shoulders and there is no body without it. Do you know what I mean? Like they're like, hey, this guy's you like it's a halo effect where they go, he's the CEO and founder of a multi-million-dollar company and he thinks Stuart is worth something. Therefore, I'll give Stuart enough time to prove to me whether he is worth something.
Stuart's worth a lot. And you got to listen to this guy because I listen to this guy. 24/7. 24/7.
You know who's super suspicious of me and really hates that it sounds like I'm an expert on this show?
Your wife.
My wife.
Your
hates
wife.
it, dude.
100%.
She's like, you got to be sure to tell these people that you're not an expert.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, hon, number one, we do a disclaimer.
Yeah.
Number two, I'm glad I'm not a financial planner or an expert because they're all recommending Garbino.
Yeah.
Okay. Every single financial planner out there who's like not recommending Bitcoin at all, fire them.
They're already brainwashed.
And, you know, there was something else there, but I lost it. Anyways, you know, yeah, she wants me to make sure y'all know.
Whatever. All right. Founder, CEO, Ithaca Hummus, resident Bitcoin smash buyer.
Smashinus by a Maximus.
I smash it. I freaking smash it. And let's see. We don't have any current giveaways going on, but that's going to change soon on Friday when we announce the new one.
Yeah, I've noticed. I noticed we capped at a little under 1,100 subscribers, and I think that Million Sats giveaway rush is over because the people who clicked late are like, ugh, and no one else is, you know, subscribing. But I guarantee after our live show Friday, ooh, dude, we about to go up.
Wait till you hear that announcement. And also, if you were one of the first 1,000, we're gonna be selecting the winner on Friday. All right.
So we've got number 53 Bellamy on deck. Thumbnail copy, Lady Honey Money. That's dope.
Bellamy was out in San Diego, if I recall. Real sweet lady.
Yeah.
And I remember during the taping of that show, just like continually impressed by how closely she was listening.
Yes.
How much, even though she had a small base of knowledge when it came to Bitcoin, she was curious enough and thoughtful enough to ask really good questions. And I just loved her questions, and I loved the conversation that we had because she was interested. There was a genuine interest to like help me understand this because I'm interested. I just don't get it yet. And you could tell by the quality of the questions she was asking.
I remember feeling heard at the end of that episode.
Yeah.
Where I was like, I feel like you like just heard us.
Yeah.
Because we did a lot of talking.
Yeah.
But to be fair, we're answering questions.
Yeah.
And it would be very easy for someone to drift off, check their smartphone, maybe not quite get it, whatever. And we don't really show this in the show because when we're talking, Jeremy puts it on us. But when I'm reviewing the tape to find a thumbnail, I go through the whole thing. And during the times when she wasn't speaking, she just had like, her face was like,
yeah,
completely neutral.
Yeah.
And like
still
alert.
Yes.
She was listening.
Yeah.
She was listening. Because I can see when I reviewed the tape, like, especially near the end during the hummus tasting sequence, if they're virtual, they wander off. They check this or they're on another screen. But she was just, locked in. And her biggest hang up was the wallet. Remember that?
Vaguely.
She couldn't she was like, it seems good, but I mean, it must be real hard to get set up, right? We're like, no. And we described the process of setting up a wallet to her, which was like step 1, download an app to your phone. Step 2, sign up. Step 3, Bitcoin. I mean, it was super easy. She's like, oh, okay. And she wanted to know a little bit, is it very scammy? No. It's just that everybody's going to scam anybody any way they can. Bitcoin, no different from cash or gift cards or anything out there. And then the lady honey money at the end was when I started describing the beehive full of ladies who are working their butts off to fill the comb with honey. And then the gouvernement is just draining that honey out the bottom of the beehive without these poor girls knowing it. You know what I mean? So Bellamy's episode, I really liked it. I felt like it was a great way to talk about wallets. And what was the title of her episode? Is it scary to set up a Bitcoin wallet? There we go.
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared.
Scary. Nothing scary.
Don't be scared. So let's see and this is for Dad here. Dad wants to know how Chappie feels about the episode.
Okay.
So here's what Chappie had to say about Bellamy. Warm-hearted and energetic, Bellamy's genuine curiosity kept things grounded, but the hosts sometimes ran so fast with their analogies that accuracy took a backseat.
I'm not an analogy guy, so that had to be you.
And analogies are inherently inaccurate, Chappie. Okay, not that my feelings are hurt. It's the classic Bitcoin pep rally. Fun, but a few numbers got waved through the gate without a ticket.
Wow, I love how she connects it to the Welcome Center there.
So some key, dude, just wait till we build a legitimate Welcome Center. That's going to be nuts. It'll be at the center of our Epcot style construction. Here we go. So key inaccuracies or overstatements. Quote, the EU hates Bitcoin. I'm assuming I said this because I think we were taping right around the time when the European Union was talking about CBDCs, and more importantly, taking people's savings that were underinvested and just doing it themselves, which I think Chappie corrected us and said nobody's actually doing that. I think they were talking about it in the EU parliamentary, We had a lot of uproar though, because what was the German guy too?
Oh yeah,
Ingo was like, dude, Europe no good.
Yeah.
Anyways, people didn't even like the idea of investing someone's savings on their behalf.
Right.
So it was likely me who said the EU hates Bitcoin. Oh, because I think Bellamy was like, can you take us on a tour of which nations like and do not like Bitcoin?
Did she ask that?
And I started with, well, the EU hates it. Then there are countries that are neutral. Then there are countries that are thinking about stacking. Then there are countries like Bhutan and El Salvador that are just ripping.
Yeah.
That's what we did. We went on a world tour.
Yeah. So, I mean, relative to the general consensus in other countries.
Yeah.
you could say that EU hates Bitcoin.
I mean, yeah. Just ask Christine Lagarde what she thinks, and we'll see. So Chappie says the EU is regulating Bitcoin, not banning it. MiCA licensing and euro-denominated spot BTC ETPs show the block is permitting, not prohibiting, the asset. All right. Full node versus reactor analogy. Effectively, I said you need 20 nuclear. I said that the Bitcoin network is effectively 20 nuclear reactors worth of power. Chappie's telling me it's more like 17.
Thanks, Chappie.
And then I said, okay, you'd need 20 reactors to attack the network because you need to get 51% of the network. If there's already 20, then you would need at least another 20 to get 51%. More like 21 reactors. She was like, well, it's more like 17. You would need more like 17 or 18. Like, all right, I got you. Thanks. So that was Bellamy. And by the way, I mean, that's insane that it has that much power. All right, so here's number 54, Adrian's. He was the venture fund guy.
Loved him.
And he wants his wife to be number 100. Thumbnail, where the real power is. Boosh. That's a straight lift from his mouth. Episode title, how does Bitcoin fit into DeFi?
Yeah, because he's just an advanced.
Yeah.
He's very advanced in his tech knowledge generally.
Right.
Because he was a tech founder, who sold his company. And then has since started a venture fund where I'm sure he's looking at deals all over the digital currency space. I was going to say crypto, but I like digital currency better. Actually, I don't. I just like Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's friggin' crypto, dude.
Yeah. Crypto. Garbage crypto.
I mean, to be 100% fair, we can't be closed-minded. And there are guys, and we said this on our last, or somewhere in the comments.
He's one of them.
You know, there are some tokens that would make sense to me, like a token that equals a share of the Black Forest, or a token that equals a share of a real-world piece of property. And somebody talked about Monero as well as a private crypto, to where if we both agree Bitcoin is good and we want to exchange it somehow, maybe you could convert your Bitcoin into Monero, transact privately, and they could convert their Monero back to Bitcoin. Like, there's something there. But you also said this to Susie. We need to make sure we get Bitcoin fully before we try to move on.
Yeah.
And this show will always be about Bitcoin because we can't stop until literally every single person on earth has Bitcoin. So we'll never move on because we're going to be dead before everyone has it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it is something that we have to respect and explore fearlessly, which is the world of decentralized finance.
It's hard because it's like, at what point do you understand Bitcoin enough to move on to the alts out there? I don't know. I don't feel like I'm there.
I don't know. I feel like once you truly understand Bitcoin, you don't want to move on.
I know. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
It's like, why? I think I was telling you, I was looking at an investment opportunity in a mining company. And I asked around about it and thought about it.
Yeah.
And the conclusion that I ultimately arrived at was, why don't I just buy Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Why do I want to stake someone else's operating abilities, for lack of a better term?
Yeah. That's what we were wrestling with when you were trying to start a business with me. I'm like, well, what idea is better than just buying Bitcoin?
Yeah.
And ultimately what we landed on was this podcast, which, by the way, is not better than just buying Bitcoin.
No.
But we can at least be of service to others.
No, true.
In this versus like creating another exchange or another wallet or another seeds phrase storage, we can at least orange pill pre-coiners one at a time and help others unlock this parallel monetary system where their time and energy is actually stored, secured, rewarded. You know, your efforts actually go somewhere when you drive them into Bitcoin. They are on a hamster wheel when you drive them into fiat. So Adrian did help me explore decentralized finance. You know, number 50 Mark did as well, but number 50 Mark, bless him, his demeanor was less warm and fuzzy than Adrian. Adrian was kind of like us, trying to be inviting.
Yeah.
You know, Mark's like, dude, catch up, homie.
Yeah.
Catch up, mustard.
Yeah.
And Adrian was more like
staying humble and
effervescent, enthusiastic. So let's see anything else on Adrian.
No.
Let's see what old chat master thought here.
Good time on that.
That was a good. All right. Here's how it felt for Chappie.
All right. Okay.
Man, eventually we're gonna have like a screen that's Chappie listening in real time and like just like sharing stuff. She's gonna be our third host.
Yes.
She'll be one of our co-hosts. You know, if you're out and Anna Bevan is out, it'll just be Chappie.
Oh, dude,
that's
maybe she
gross.
should actually. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
nasty.
Okay. All right. More on that later.
All right. So, because Dad loves Chappie and we do too. Here we go. Chappie said that Adrian's episode, here's how it felt: a fascinating, freewheeling venture capitalist story time. Lots of industry color, plenty of quotable one-liners, but a few of them don't survive fact checking.
He's got the riz. He's just a little loose and flowy with it.
Think Silicon Valley over coffee, insightful yet occasionally embellished. So here's some of the key inaccuracies or overstatements. Adrian, I remember he said that 99% of tokens are backed by Bitcoin and Ethereum. Chappie says that most of these tokens trade against Bitcoin and Ethereum, and almost none are collateralized by them. I don't know what that means, but I just said it out loud. One of us said that Vanguard's CEO was fired for opposing Bitcoin. That was likely me. Chappie says Tim Buckley announced a planned retirement.
Who?
I suppose Tim Buckley was the CEO of Vanguard.
That's my okay.
Do you know this dude?
No, I don't know him. No.
Okay. Tim Buckley announced a planned retirement. No credible source links it to Bitcoin ETFs. Number one, yeah, right, chaps. He's the only one who said no to a Bitcoin ETF. The Bitcoin ETFs become the top performing ETFs of all time against all ETFs that have had years and decades to establish themselves. And what happens? Oh, I'm announcing a planned retirement. I guarantee the board was like, oh, yeah. You planning to retire, bah. Okay, get out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you just lost us billions of dollars. Get out of this company.
Yeah.
Get out of this company. Okay. How dare you?
Get out.
All right. Bitcoin is up 200 million% in 16 years. That's a phrase that I think I got from Chappie. She says from first market price, which is 0.003
okay,
to 104K, the gain is 3.4 million%, not 200 million%. And ultimately what she said somewhere else is you just have to decide what you think the initial price of Bitcoin was. Is it 0.003, which is she's saying the first market price, or is it 0.000001? You know, it basically went from nothing to 104K. So that's infinity percent.
I have to tell you that when you say 200 million%,
yeah,
it sounds embellished.
Uh-huh.
I know it sounds embellished to someone who never like, and you don't need to go that far.
Yeah.
What was her number? 3?
She said 3.4 million%.
So
if you go from her first market price of 0.003 to 104K.
I'd use that because it sounds more legitimate.
Yep.
It's also more precise with 3.4.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've got the actual logic and the math to pencil that out if you're asked to do it.
And this is the problem with Chaps, because she corrected us in an early episode saying, no, it hasn't gone up this percent. It's gone up 200 million%. So I guess it depends on which day you ask her. Either way, maybe someone can do the math for real, a human, and help us out, but it's gone up a lot. I'll switch to 3.4 million% for now, but maybe one of our satillionaires can help us out. And then something about stable coins. Stable coin anecdote, tokens worth 3x NAV. A properly collateralized USD stable coin is engineered to track $1. Persistent 3x premium signal. It is not a real stable coin. And see, that's a, I don't know what she's saying. And that's part of why we're just going to stick to Bitcoin.
Stablecoin, schmablecoin.
I mean, that's kind of how other Bitcoin podcasts start to sound after a while. We're like, well, yeah, I mean, you could do 3x NAV unless it's what, huh?
What are you talking about?
It's like, I'm just trying to like not get destroyed by a $17 cheeseburger and fry.
Yeah.
How do I do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's rip on number 55, Andrea.
I hope her son's doing okay. I hope he straightened up his act. His name was Chris, I think.
I can't remember. Maybe it was. But he was waking up early on the West Coast to get his candle charts out and trade cryptocurrencies, I think along with some traditional stocks. And he was asking his mom, who was, I mean, for her, I mean, she's like early 50s. I shouldn't go any further. To like invest in this stuff. And we were like, look, Andrea, just get some Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And just get like 50. I remember she was a breakthrough for me because she was probably the first lady where I figured out where she was and drilled Bitcoin down to the smallest like leap possible and got her invested in that and then built on top of that for the rest of the episode. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was the episode where I was like, well, hey, do you have a retirement portfolio on Wall Street?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Do you realize that even a few percentage points of Bitcoin will explode your wealth over the coming decades? Okay. Maybe. And okay, do you realize that if you put in a couple of percentage points and it goes to zero, that's no big deal. So you might as well just take the risk to see if it goes to the moon. Yes. Okay, great. Do you think you can take a couple of percentage points and put it into the Bitcoin ETF? Yes. Then I was like, okay. Because I knew she was going to stack the sats at that point.
Yeah.
But I was like, now that we've got this small buy-in, let's talk about why you should have some of your own Bitcoin in your own self-custody. Because what happens if the Bitcoin ETF in your portfolio goes to the moon, but you need to wait to withdraw it penalty-free? But you want to go ahead and buy an island with your Bitcoin billions. You can't. But if you have Bitcoin in self-custody and Bitcoin goes to the moon, you can go ahead and do whatever you want with it right now. And that's still my problem with our accountant friend, self-directed IRA. That's going to, shield me from the tax hit.
Yeah.
I still can't do anything with it until the appropriate time. I might be able to control the keys to some real Bitcoin instead of the Fidelity paper Bitcoin ETF.
Yeah.
But that's still something I have to wait to tap into.
Yeah.
But Kristen said, well, that's our retirement.
Yeah.
So it should come into play when we're retired.
Yes.
I'm like, I want the Bitcoin now.
Yeah, you're not going to get that though. That's an unrealistic expectation. She's offering you a step closer to what you want. She's not saying I can give you exactly what you want.
Yeah.
She's saying I can get you one step closer. And she's valid with what she was saying. The self-directed IRA.
I have a small stack personally for my family.
Yeah.
I've got a bigger stack that's in the paper ETF.
Right.
And I think it would be smart to get that to that self-directed IRA.com, whatever that was. I made a note of it. So that I can buy real Bitcoin and have the keys to that. And I think my Bitcoin, the amount of Bitcoin I want to have is going to have to come through Sat Chats.
Right.
We're going to have, can y'all blow us up real quick? Can you make Sat Chats go to the moon so I can get a bunch of Bitcoin? I don't understand. I mean, that's not too hard, right?
Yeah.
Can y'all help me get a bunch of Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Because that's what I really want. I want a bunch of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I want a bunch of Bitcoin.
And you're doing the work. You're doing the work to get it.
Proof of work is there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, back to Andrea's episode. Okay. I think if you want to watch an episode and you want to watch Stuart do what we truly set out to do here every episode, which is take a little bit of time
Yeah.
to understand where our guest is.
Yeah.
And then meet them there.
Yep.
And work from wherever that is to where we want them to go.
Mm-hmm.
You do a really good job in Andrea's episode.
And I have
and we get the reward in the end, right?
Yeah.
She takes the Bitcoin.
She takes the Bitcoin. And she really, when I told her that Bitcoin is better than real estate, she was like, okay, hang on.
Yeah, wait a second.
And she was like, let me go sit down. Literally. She was like, let me go sit down for real.
Yeah.
I just have to go back to my girl number 51, Pallavi. She was the sacrificial lamb who helped me understand that I need to meet not only these ladies, but every pre-coiner, where that pre-coiner is.
Everybody.
And then I need to figure out what's important to them. And then I need to drill down to where adopting Bitcoin is the tiniest leap possible. Mm-hmm. Like with Andrea, well, can you just convert a couple percentage points? Yeah, I can do that. You know, or can you just agree to $50 a month? Yes, I can do that. Because we don't need to get them to the point where they're like, Bitcoin is worth Bitcoin.
Yeah, there's a million things you could say. Your job, okay, is to figure out the one or two things that you need to say based on where they're at.
Yes.
So we got to figure that out.
Yeah.
Then we got to go there. And then we got to do what you always say is we're not selling, we're storytelling.
Yeah, boy.
Then you got to figure out what the story is.
Yes.
And all this is happening in the 45 minutes. Then you got to tell it.
Yep.
And then if we do all that right, we should. That's the formula for success here.
Yeah, I need like a it's not selling, it's storytelling over here, so I can see it and be reminded. Because I'm forgetting to tell stories.
So do I. Well,
because we were good at telling stories to get started, and I'm forgetting about the stories.
No, I don't think you are. You told. You've told some good ones lately.
There was something during that Friday afternoon shoot where I was like, dang it. Because later on I was like, I could have told a story.
Well, that's the muscle that you want to keep working out. Because you just keep getting better and better and better and better. And that's the journey we're on here.
I feel like every single one of the points I make should either be a story or an analogy.
Well, you don't want to go too far.
But you do a good job of being a technical describer in the way that we both learned it. Where you're like, well... And it feels good. It feels business-like coming from you.
Yeah.
It feels explanatory coming from you.
Yeah, but people don't connect when I say it.
But sometimes having both.
Yeah, is good.
When you hit them with the actual words that we used to learn Bitcoin, and then I come and I wrap that in a story.
That's a winning combo.
I think it's good. I think it's good. So let's see what old and by the way, her episode title is Bitcoin Real Money.
Yeah. Well, and also, I can't wait to have our guests back in 9 months.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be the true mark of success. If someone like Pallavi didn't stack sats on the show, but she still went out and bought some on her own, and she's now dollar cost averaging, and we have no idea, and she comes back in 9 months and tells us about that. Mm-hmm. How insane is that?
I can't wait for somebody to come back a maxi in 9 months and be like, oh, yeah, I converted a Hundo P.
I can't wait for Michael to come back in here and apologize. I'm not kidding.
Oh, boy. And he means number 66, Michael, because my neighbor number 6, Michael, was a good guy. Little nervous on the show, but he was a good guy.
Good dude.
All right. So here's how Chappie felt about Andrea's episode, the most endearing of the three. Andrea's quote, I just want to know if it's real money, unquote, honesty is relatable. The host's enthusiasm turns into cheerleadery hyperbole.
Gosh, he thinks we're hype, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever, we are.
Yeah,
we are.
Yeah.
But the conversation stays digestible for newcomers. Here goes my 200 million% problem again. All right, 3 to 4 million%. Bitcoin is risk-free.
You got a problem with that? She's got a problem with that?
Bitcoin is risk-free, Chappie. But she says the supply is fixed, but price volatility and custody regulatory risks remain. Bitcoin supply is going to zero. New issuance trends towards zero. Total supply caps at 21 million.
Okay, fair.
That's fair. Bitcoin is untaxed, unlike property tax. In the US, realized gains are subject to capital gains tax. Yeah, realized gains. Realized gains.
Well, yeah, versus property tax that you pay every year. And then you also pay capital gains when you sell it.
Yeah.
So there's a property tax with
Dude.
real estate. With Bitcoin, you don't pay on each year as you hold it based on the value of your Bitcoin. You do pay tax capital gains when you sell it.
We get taxed so badly.
Oh.
So you're saying, first of all, when I make some money, before it comes to me, the federal gouvernement taxes it. Actually, by the way, as an employer, you get taxed on the amount you pay to the employee. Then the employee has to pay federal taxes, state taxes, and in some cases, local taxes. You got to pay into Social Security. You got to pay into Medicare. You got to pay into unemployment. So then like 75% of your money comes to you because like 25% gets just like, you know, taken away.
Yeah.
All right. So I got $75 out of the $100 I made.
Yeah.
Then I got to go to Five Guys and get a $17 double cheeseburger and little fry with no soda, no milkshake, nothing. Just literally the double cheeseburger and the little fry. $17. I got to pay the gouvernement $3 or $4 for the privilege of having spent $17. Where did we go? Did we go to Costco the other day and we bought some stuff? And I was like, honey, we just paid $18 for the privilege of spending $200.
Well,
so the sales tax happens.
Yeah.
Then the property tax is happening on my home and my car.
Yeah.
And my car.
Yeah.
And it's like and then of course they're taxing us through inflation, dude. They're taxing my face off.
That's so the last part is where I have a problem.
Okay.
And just to be clear, my position on taxes is like, just be straight with me. Okay. If it's 25%, it's 25%. If there's capital gains, there's capital gains. If there's state income tax, there's state income tax. If there's state tax every time I go out and I buy something, then that's that. You know, like where I start to get upset is when I feel like I'm being manipulated and lied to, and I'm not getting the whole truth.
Okay.
Which is ironic, by the way. Which is ironic. But that's where I start to lose it. It's like, okay, I'm agreeing to pay your 25% income tax, federal. I'm agreeing to Social Security. I'm agreeing to Medicare, Medicaid. I'm okay. But now you're gonna spend $2 trillion more than you have in your budget,
bro,
and you're gonna print $10 trillion over COVID. Now, like the whole thing falls apart.
Why are you even taxing me if you're just gonna make this money anyways? And remember, Nayib Bukele in a speech actually said the reason why your government taxes you is to maintain the illusion that you are contributing to their operations, because what they're actually going to do is just print money anyways. And it's just like designed to make you feel like your taxes matter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's designed to make you feel like your money matters. To tax, we're going to tax you to operate, but really they don't care.
Yeah.
They're just going to basically live off of our productivity as long as they want.
Yeah.
Like leeches.
Sick.
Where's Reggie, dude? Start rolling the cameras right now, bro. Woo! Do you know how much it costs to be a Roman citizen of the Republic that lasted for 700 years before, some would say, deteriorating into the empire?
Probably nothing.
It cost 5% per year.
Okay.
A fellow would come through once a year and assess your wealth. Okay, you got this much land. You got this many animals. You got this many loose coins. Okay, we'll say you're worth 100. You need to pay me 5%. And you got all the benefits of being part of the Republic, which included wonderful structures in the main cities. Mostly the big benefit were the roads. The roads were incredible. They were flat. They were straight. They were even. They went everywhere. And you had a postal system as well, effectively in a messenger system. 5%, dude. I would pay 5% income tax like that in exchange for government services that mean something to me. I would do it immediately. I would also, instead of an income tax, I would just do a sales tax, because unlike the Roman Republic, I believe that the American Republic is a nation of spenders. We consume. So you should tax our consumption. Every time I buy something, I should be taxed. That way, whoever's buying stuff is the one that's paying the taxes. Think about Bitcoin. When are you taxed?
When you make a transaction.
When you transact. You pay that fee, right? That's your TEP. Remember your TEP?
Yep.
Throw your TEP in.
Yep.
So on Bitcoin, it's like a toll road. Bitcoin's like a toll road.
Yeah.
Did you use the road?
If you don't use it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you're taxed for using the road, so we can upkeep the road.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, if I'm buying a $5 pack of gum, because we're in fiat clown world and a pack of gum costs $5, let me pay 5%, okay? Which is how much money on a $5 pack of gum, Chris?
10 cents.
10 cents is 5% of $5. If $5 is 500 pennies, 10% would be 50 pennies, and half of that would be 25. It'd be 25 cents.
What did I say?
10 cents.
Yeah, you're right.
So my $5 pack of gum would cost $5.25. And if that's the only tax I need to pay, great. If I'm a rich dude and I buy a $5 million home, I should pay $5.25 million. Because if you got $5 million for a house, you got $250,000 for taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, but you do. And you would have to. I just feel like you could close all the loophole and like when you convert from one asset to another. No, if you're transacting even from gold to a house, where you're like, well, look, I'm gonna, or like some people, they roll the proceeds of a house into another house and like they avoid taxes somehow. Bro, if you're transacting at one house or another house, 5%, homie. Anyways, somebody's going to tear me up in the comments and say that doesn't work, but there has to be a simpler way to tax us.
That's what I would say.
And it needs to be, there must be a way to make it meaningful and translate to real services and not just spend more than you have, dude. Anyways, straight ranting over here, my guys. So that was number 53, Bellamy, about the wallet. Number 54, Adrian, about DeFi. And number 55, Andrea. Good, clean example of what we want to do here on the show.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why I performed well.
Could be.
So remember to subscribe on YouTube. Guarantee you're going to love it, even if you missed the Million Sats giveaway.
The first giveaway.
Come on the show, because we only tape these when we don't have somebody in the studio. All right, satchats.com. There's one button. Remember, Sat Chats Rehash is for educational purposes and should not be construed as financial advice. See you tomorrow on the live Shizzle Dizzle. Boop, 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 boop. Beer, 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 beer.